because one, he's a better scorer. He's definitely a better scorer. He's a better rim protector. He's a better interior defender. He's actually better in transition, and he's better at showing and switching on the perimeter high as opposed to in the mid range. When we're 22, 23 feet away from the basket, he can actually show and recover.
The reason why we had trepidation about the Boston Celtics for one reason and one reason only: Porzingis' health. I'm thinking about how he's going to be attacked, how they're going to work his legs and test him or what have you. But they were attacking him in a fashion that I thought was beneficial to him. You can't go into Kristaps Porzingis, who's 7'3", and think you're going to elevate over him. You got to get him moving laterally.
Booed by thousands in his own arena the moment his name was called, crowned a champion years later while critics still whispered he was more myth than man. Now the same lanky Latvian who once looked like basketball's biggest punchline is walking into Golden State carrying the weight of a franchise that just traded its angry young star for an expiring contract and a prayer. What most people miss about Kristaps Porzingis is how violently the league's entire idea of a big man changed the day Kevin Durant looked at film in the mid-2010s and muttered two words that still echo, "That's a unicorn." Porzingis wasn't the first 7-footer who could shoot, but he was the first who made it look effortless from 35 feet while guarding the rim like a coiled spring. Before Victor Wembanyama turned the label into a marketing slogan, Porzingis owned it. Durant himself took credit in interviews, laughing that he saw a kid who could do anything and decided the basketball world needed a new word for it. That nickname wasn't hype, it was prophecy, and the prophecy almost died before it ever truly lived. Draft night 2015 still feels like a fever dream. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball, erupted in boos when the Knicks took Porzingis 4th overall. He was 20 years old, rail thin, fresh off a decent but not dominant season in Spain. Fans wanted a ready-made star, not a project who looked like he'd blow away in a strong wind. The mockery was instant and brutal. Late-night shows roasted him. Talk radio called him a bust before he played a single minute. Yet the front office saw something different: a 7'3" frame with guard skills, a 7'6" wingspan, and footwork that suggested he could one day punish every mismatch on the floor.
When a guy that can shoot the three, he's moving really well now. He put the ball on the floor, get to the rim, he's shooting the three, shooting all types of shots off the catch. You know, he's expanding his game, man. You can really appreciate that. So, and he's tough. You know, he doesn't back down from anybody. So you can see why he's going to be a superstar in the league.
They were right. It just took longer than anyone imagined, and the road was littered with broken bodies and shattered expectations. Porzingis exploded in New York. By his second season, he was dropping 20-point games, blocking shots at an elite rate, and stretching defenses in ways traditional centers never could. Then came the nightmare, a torn ACL in 2018 that stole more than a year of his prime. He returned only to battle shoulder issues, knee problems, and even a mysterious illness that sidelined him again. Every time the league started believing, another injury reminded everyone why big men who play this style break down. By the time the Knicks traded him to the Wizards in 2022, many had already written his obituary: injury-prone, soft, overrated, the label stuck like glue. But Boston saw something else. The Celtics took a calculated gamble in 2023, pairing Porzingis with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Suddenly, the floor opened up like never before. He shot 37.1% from 3 on 5.3 attempts per game across his last 5 healthy seasons, most of them catch-and-shoot looks created by teammates driving into traffic. That number doesn't sound insane until you realize the distance. Many of those threes came from 28, 30, even 35 feet. Defenses had to sprint out to close him down, leaving driving lanes wide open. When they helped on Tatum or Brown, Porzingis punished them with kick-out passes or quick-trigger threes. Boston ran a true 5-out offense, all 5 players spaced on the perimeter, and Porzingis became the ultimate gravity creator. Opponents couldn't sag off him without paying the price, and they couldn't crowd the paint without him launching from the logo. What makes his shooting terrifying isn't just the make percentage, it's the release. At 7'3" with that wingspan, he releases the ball so high that even elite shot blockers look like children swatting at air. He developed a deadly pump fake too. Defenders close out hard because they know he can drain it from anywhere. Then he puts the ball on the floor and attacks the rim before they can recover. That runway to the basket turns a simple 3-point threat into a nightmare for help defenders. In transition, he runs the floor with surprising grace for his size, finishes above the rim, and cleans up misses for easy putbacks. He isn't a rebounding monster like some old school centers, but he doesn't need to be when he's already stretching the defense to the breaking point. And then there's the post-game, the part of his arsenal that still shocks people who only watch highlight reels. In limited action this season, he ranked in the 91st percentile on post-ups, scoring 1.23 points per possession. The year before, 86th percentile. During Boston's championship run in 2024, he hit the 96th percentile. This isn't back to the basket bruising like Shaq. Porzingis punishes smaller defenders by simply rising up over them. Turnaround jumpers, fadeaways, one-dribble pull-ups, everything becomes uncontested because of how big he is. He draws fouls at a high rate and crucially sees the floor well enough enough to hit cutters or open shooters when the double team arrives. That playmaking out of the post is pure gold for a coach like Steve Kerr, who has always loved bigs who can pass. Defensively, he reads the game like a chess master. He anticipates rotations, slides over to help at exactly the right moment, and uses that length to alter shots without leaving his feet. He isn't the rim protector Draymond Green was in his prime, but he's nimble enough to switch onto guards when needed and still contest everything at the rim. Put it all together, and you have a player who can space the floor, score inside, facilitate, and defend at a high level, all at 7'3". That combination is why the word unicorn was invented. So why aren't Warriors fans losing their minds over this acquisition? First, the Giannis dream died hard. Golden State chased the Greek freak at the trade deadline, believing a blockbuster deal could actually happen. When it didn't, Porzingis felt like a consolation prize. Fans wanted a top 5 superstar in his absolute prime. Instead, they got a 30-year-old with more medical history than most hospitals. Second, availability. Porzingis has missed huge chunks of seasons. He's been hurt, sick, recovering. Name the excuse, he's lived it. In the NBA, availability really is the best ability, and his track record makes even the most optimistic supporter pause. Third, the cost. The Warriors sent out Jonathan Kuminga, a 23-year-old athletic freak who had been the subject of trade rumors for years, but still represented upside and cheap talent. In return, they received Porzingis on an expiring deal. It was the realistic price, but it stung. Kuminga's departure felt like the end of a long, messy internal drama, and suddenly the future looked a little less bright. Yet the fit on paper is almost unfair. Golden State's recent centers, Andrew Bogut, Kevon Looney, even a diminished DeMarcus Cousins after his Achilles tear, never stretched the floor like this. Bogut was a genius passer and rim protector, but camped near the basket. Looney dominated the glass in the playoffs, but couldn't shoot beyond 15 feet. Porzingis changes every equation. He lets Steph Curry and the Splash Brothers operate with even more space. He turns pick and rolls into pick and pops that defenses can't solve. He gives Kerr the 5-out versatility the Warriors have chased since their dynasty peak. If healthy, he corrects the one glaring weakness the modern Warriors have faced, a lack of consistent scoring and spacing from the 5 spot. The numbers back the excitement. In Boston, he helped create one of the most efficient offenses in recent memory by simply existing on the perimeter. Defenses couldn't pack the paint against Tatum and Brown without paying a deadly tax from deep. The same logic applies in the Golden State. Add Porzingis to Curry's gravity, Klay Thompson's, or whoever replaces him movement, and Draymond's playmaking, and suddenly the Warriors' offense regains that old unstoppable flow. He doesn't need 25 shots a night. He can thrive on 12 to 15, punishing mismatches and spacing the floor so the stars can feast. Still, the caution is understandable. One more knee tweak, one more mysterious absence, and the narrative flips from smart veteran addition to another failed gamble. Porzingis himself knows the stakes. He has spoken openly about wanting to prove he can stay on the floor for a full season. The Warriors, meanwhile, are in win-now mode with Curry still playing at an elite level, but clearly in the twilight. They need Porzingis to be the difference maker, not the question mark. What often gets lost in the injury talk is how Porzingis has already beaten the odds that most big men never survive. Drafted into a toxic environment, booed by his own fans, torn ligaments, traded twice, doubted at every turn, yet he still became an all-star, still won a ring, still shoots threes like a guard while blocking shots like a center. That resilience is rare. The idea of Porzingis has always been better than the reality, only because the reality keeps getting interrupted by bad luck. When he's healthy, the reality is terrifying for opponents. Watch him in a Warriors uniform, and you'll see the same things that made Durant coin the nickname all those years ago. The effortless range, the quick first step for a man that size, the soft touch around the rim, the length that swallows passing lanes. He isn't the same explosive athlete he was at 22, but he's smarter, more efficient, and more dangerous in a system built for movement and spacing. Golden State's offense has been searching for exactly this kind of big man since they last won it all. The league has changed since Porzingis entered it. Positionless basketball is the norm now, but true unicorns, 7-footers who can legitimately guard multiple positions and launch from anywhere, remain precious. Wembanyama carries the torch today, but Porzingis lit the flame. His career arc is a reminder that basketball talent can survive almost anything except time on the sideline. If the Warriors can keep him healthy for 60-plus games, this move could quietly become one of the shrewdest of the decade. If not, it joins the long list of what-if stories that haunt front offices. Porzingis has never been the loudest voice in the locker room. He lets his game talk, and when it's healthy, it screams. The Celtics proved that in 2024. Now the Warriors get their turn. The skeptics will point to the injury rap sheet, the Kuminga departure, and the Giannis that got away. The believers will point to the shooting, the post-game, the defense, and the perfect marriage of skills with Curry's movement. Somewhere in the middle sits the truth. Kristaps Porzingis remains one of the most fascinating players in basketball, a walking contradiction who can win you a championship or watch from the bench while someone else does. The next chapter starts now. Whether it ends in another parade or another round of questions depends on one simple, brutal factor: whether that unicorn body can finally stay on the court long enough for the world to remember why Kevin Durant gave him that name in the first place. At 7'3", with range that defies physics and a championship ring already on his finger, Porzingis doesn't need to be the face of the franchise. promise. He just needs to be available. If he is, Golden State might have just stolen the perfect missing piece. If he isn't, the boos from 2015 will feel like a distant echo compared to the silence that follows another broken promise. And that, more than anything, is why this move feels so electric and so terrifying at the same time. The unicorn is back in the spotlight, older, wiser, and still capable of magic most big men can only dream about. The basketball world is watching, holding its breath, waiting to see if the myth finally becomes a permanent reality in the Bay Area.